Hello, I'm Aime Pinyapa Somphong, Chair of the British Chamber of Commerce Thailand, and today I'm joined by one of our newly elected directors, Simon Shale, Chief Executive Officer at Senior Aerospace Thailand.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Simon brings a wealth of international experience in manufacturing and operational leadership, and he spent over 2 decades managing and growing businesses across Asia, including the automotive, FMCG, and now aerospace sectors. So Simon, thank you so much for being here today with me.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Right, so perhaps we're going to start with shooting the first question to you. So what motivated you to stand for the election to the BCCT Board this year?
Okay, so interesting first question. You need to get to know me, and one of the things that's very interesting, and I think part of my success in Thailand, and I have to be careful here, I don't say the politically correct thing just for saying the politically correct thing. So the real truth, I have a network. I have a pretty global, significant network, and for Thailand I have a couple of key reference people who I respect gratefully. Greg Watkins and Chris Cracknell, both from the British Chamber, are those people. Right. And my honest answer is they actually invited me to stand. And I can share, I can give. My biggest concern is always how crazy my calendar is. Yeah. So from my point of view, in terms of a global manufacturing, truly international opportunity that can be driven from Thailand, which has a significant element to a British PLC company, and both countries have benefited from that, and I've used BCCT for various points of reference, as I said. It's only right that kind of I am able to give back and share my experiences, and that's something I can give freely. I've just got to manage my calendar.
Which is not easy.
No, never easy, never easy at all. But yeah, it's something I'm prepared to go. I have in the past sat on the Australian board, Auscham, and that was very good. And I actually gave it up when I started this next phase of my career in the aerospace sector about 8 years ago. But we're now ready, I think, where I've got a model that's working, the business is growing, and I can give a little bit more time allowing.
Right. Interesting. Well, perhaps we're going to talk about your business later on, but
Sure.
I'm going to ask you another one, which is as a new director, and you have a broad range of experiences through different chambers before. So what are some of your early priorities or the focus area for your time on the board this term?
Okay. Yeah. So the first aspect or area for me will be manufacturing and making things. The whole of my life has been to understand every detail as an engineer, obviously, of how things are created. So I think I have a lot to provide for successful manufacturing businesses and growth. I love making things, and one of the big advantages which people smile at is I'm very good at making money.
Okay. That's the best quality.
and for businesses, that's a very positive element. That allows me to share experiences of how the impossible can become possible.
Right.
And my favourite thing is when people say or cannot. People say in Thailand quite often cannot.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed at what Thailand can indeed create.
Right.
So the first element for me is manufacturing and supporting businesses that make things. I think entrepreneurially, we regard a foundation for any economy is the manufacturing industry, and it's not often respected. Off the back of that, you get service businesses, entrepreneurial businesses. And my personal opinion is we're about to go through a further shift globally. Economically, the world has been focused on global trade. That's now changing.
Yeah,
that's changing significantly. And I think we're going into an element of opportunity, but fear, but unknown. So I think it's a two-way relationship. Yes, I can offer and I can watch what develops in making things. But at the same time, by being part of a bigger network in the chamber, I can also benefit. So the other element for me is one of what people like to call for manufacturing businesses, business strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It always makes me laugh when people talk about strategy, because strategy to me is common sense of circumstance. And with changing circumstances, we can all plan, we can all put it together, but a lot of it is common sense.
Mm-hmm.
By involving more people, which we can do with the chamber networks, we get more aspects of perspective. Perspective allows us to make the common sense thing happen.
Yeah.
So a lot of manufacturing is one of my things, strategy, which I call common sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other element to me, which I think is very, very important for manufacturing businesses at this point in time, it's interesting in Thailand against the global perspective,
Mm-hmm.
is one of the things that I talk about is engineers and manufacturing people are accountable.
Yep.
We're accountable for quality of product. I can't make you an aeroplane that's not 100% perfect, or items that go into aircraft in the aerospace industry. And we pride ourselves on quality. And what bothers me, a lot of the dynamics that's being presented to us are from an IT AI perspective where there is no accountability.
Yeah.
One of my biggest concerns is a driverless car knocks someone over and kills them. Well, who's responsible? Who's accountable?
Yeah.
And yet we're rushing into AI, IT, digitization
Yes.
without depth of thought, and yet we're getting enthusiastic. Engineers cannot do that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't make aircraft parts doing that.
Yeah.
And so I think there is an interesting time for all of us, and being part of a bigger network for all of us is going to be very important. Manufacturing is the core of the economies.
Mm-hmm.
We're going through a change of its own entity.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get common sense back into the picture of strategy.
Yeah.
And we need to understand the accountability of, as the technologies evolve and our systems evolve, who really is taking accountability.
Yeah, I think in the end of the day is very much more towards the right balance. You adopt the AI, but how somehow you need to have a normal sense of the how you want to use or to instruct the AI to make it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the car scenario of an accident in a driverless car with a passenger in the back,
Mm-hmm.
who's taking the accountability if it injures, kills someone?
Yeah.
It's still very, very unclear, and I think we should need to go with caution
Right.
and as a group.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Perhaps we're going to shoot the next question, which is you have a broad career across several industry and also the countries as well. So how does your experience could shape the value that you hope you could bring towards the chamber?
Okay, it all comes down predominantly to two elements. Business and understanding your business, and you understand your business not by talking about it. You understand your business by listening to your people.
Yep.
And then that is the key element for me, people.
Mm-hmm.
People and the teams that we build. I run a business that's approaching 600 people.
Mm-hmm.
We're in an aerospace function. I am so proud because I only have 4 non-ties. And that it was always told me that was not possible.
Right.
What is possible is we work with some of the best people in our teams that have that global perspective, that have that non-fear to make an error, to learn to correct it.
Right.
And so for me, I think the real key for all of it is people. To get the best out of people, it's leadership.
Right.
It's the ability of leaders, and it's back to me. I kind of cautious always about what I say, because my skills really is to listen.
Yep.
Listen and ask the question so I absorb correctly. So in terms of my part of the board, I'm also nervous about that because I ask a hell of a lot of questions.
Right, which is good.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
And you know, I've got a lot to share, but for me, the key is to build my own reservoir of knowledge by actually being open to more and more people,
Right.
teams, and what they've got to say. And the guy who knows processes best in manufacturing is actually the guy on the shop floor. The guy who knows what they want from the chamber best is our customers,
Right.
is the network of people. I hope they're a bit like me, where they're concerned and worried and want to share more knowledge.
Right, right. Well, I think you're very much connecting the dots of our chamber's objectives. It's very much more connecting the people, sharing the knowledge, sharing experience, and they help the people to connect the business. So bring the knowledge as a global experience from you into local, which is our community, and encouraging them to think as a global, to grow the business as a global.
And I think we can be amazed at what particularly the British Chamber for Thailand can both give and what Thailand can give in response, because I think the compound interest, if we do it right, it is an exciting place to be. You know, Southeast Asia is the Asian century, and I do see Thailand, and Thailand's got its idiosyncrasies, Thailand's got its challenges, but we get the people trained and empowered, we build the teams, and that needs help, and I think that's the Chamber help both of companies coming into this exciting environment, but the rewards could be plentiful.
Right, right. I agree with you. Right, and so then Simon, just tell us a bit more about Senior Aerospace Thailand and the kind of work you do in the Eastern Economic Corridor.
Okay, so Senior Aerospace Thailand is a wholly owned subsidiary by a British PLC. So we're on the FTSE 250 in the UK, and we are one of the main elements of growth for the organisation. We focus 100% on what we call build-to-print manufacturing, and that is in 3 areas that I'll explain in a minute, of which we run a business, and I challenged our Thais that we are number 1 in the world. One of our customers, which I'll talk about our customers later, we've actually won nomination to their high performance supplier group, so we're in the top 21, 23 companies around the globe, and that company's Thai. That company's us, right? So we never give up. So we are a high quality, high technology manufacturer, and our skills is we receive the details and the generation from aerospace companies and their suppliers. We are the manufacturer, so most of our intellectual is in our processes. Most of our knowledge is within the process, and that requires a little bit of an opportunity to challenge the norm. But the aerospace industry is very risk averse, so it's small steps, and it's all about making the right product to the right specification at the right time. So my products, Senior Aerospace really is functioning in 3 areas. First area, which we've been quite successful at, is on actual engine components. We are now one of the largest compressor blade parts of a jet engine. So a jet engine, you suck the air in the big fans, you then compress the air, then it goes into the ignition chamber and it goes into turbines, so it drives thrust. That compression of air is low pressure and then high pressure. We make all the blades, vanes and stators to do that, and we're talking tolerances of 5 microns. That's a quarter of a hair, and that's all manufactured here in Thailand. We then have our next part of the business, which is aluminium. So that the engine parts are a very precision metal for very high temperatures, and we're talking over 100 degrees potential. For the structural parts, which are like wing strengtheners, rib strengtheners, body parts, they're made from aluminium. Those aluminium machine parts go through a number of processes, and what Senior Aerospace is able to do, and we did this during COVID, we bought in all those processes. So historically we'd send parts to Germany for a treatment, we'd send it to the UK for a lacquer. We've bought all that in-house. So my business has become multiple businesses within a business, and a hell of a lot of investment. We've been very pleased by the support we've received from Senior PLC, but the returns are showing. So we make wings. We've made wings in the past for the Boeing 787. We make structural parts for Airbus A330. We make A320 components, and we make other parts for the Airbus products. So on top of all those elements, I have a 3rd category, and the 3rd category, I hope you'll be pleased to use my product. We do business class seats. Okay, so business class seats, we make the structural frames and the movement mechanisms, and then we supply those to France and the UK, and they put in the electronics. So we're relatively diverse, but at a core, we are a manufacturer on CNC, CMM, cutting and measuring equipment, and we are metals to precise tolerances. We then can treat them, finish them, coat them, lack of them. And one of the other skills we've got a hell of a lot of very detailed assembly workers that will fix to micron levels, fix things, adhesives. So we are very specialist. We are looking, as we expand, to try and keep our core and use later technology to build on it. So we keep the core, but my business is now back to where it was in 2019 before COVID. When I was at COVID, we were at 750 people. We're now just below 600 people with the same size. So my team is already developing and growing, and they're doing a great job. So we just need to keep doing more of the challenging stuff more. Okay. So as part of our manufacturing, we have AS 9100 and NADCAP level approvals, and these are required. And for any business entering aerospace, it takes 4 to 5 years to get accreditation. Not easy. So we've got accreditation. We've got accreditation with Boeing and Airbus direct, but then you've got the details. Our biggest customer at the moment is Rolls-Royce. And that is globally. That means we supply through Japan as well to Jalux KHI, who are sub-assemblers for Rolls-Royce. We supply direct to the UK. We supply to Rolls-Royce Germany. So truly global. We have a very good relationship for MTU, which is a company from Germany that is an assembly station for engines for Pratt & Whitney. And we also supply Pratt & Whitney directly, both in the US and smaller engine parts in Canada. So that's my engine side of the business. The rest of my business, we do seats for Stelia seats, which is actually Airbus Atlantic. It's an off-spin. Okay. And we also do Safran seats, which is a French, British-owned setup where we supply both sites. We then, for the structural items, we have a vast array. We supply Airbus direct. We supply Strata in the United Arab Emirates. Okay. We supply GKN. We supply. I've got so many.
Too many.
Absolutely too many. But they're all truly global, large businesses. So the business takes us on a multi-field, and that means some of my senior people, we do have a prerequisite of an English language, because in aerospace, English is the preempted language. For Rolls-Royce is the company where we are in their top global suppliers, and that is a major achievement. And what's significant for the team, and that they all got to be acclaimed for this, and this is a credit to Thailand, they've held that position now for 4 years. And that's not easy to do, because to be in the top high performance supplier group, you cannot have a supplier performance below 90%. So you can't delay a part by a week, you lose points. So I'm very pleased with what we are continuing to develop and generate, and we've got some great teams.
Well, your business is quite interesting. I'm very sure we're gonna have like the whole morning session talking about this. But just curious in terms of the back to the your business sectors a little bit. What are some of the key challenges or the opportunities you're seeking right now in Thailand's manufacturing sector?
Aerospace industry is a little bit different for me, because when you understand Boeing and Airbus order books, and they make them public, and they make them public up to 10 years ahead, I can see elements of my growth in my business which you can just do the math. Okay. And people are flying more. So I've got a natural route of growth. A lot of my contracts I'm securing for Thailand go through to early 2030, 2035. So but I'm actually working on some very exciting projects for Thailand at the moment, which is where we're being asked to consider 100% supply, which is very rare. But to do that, they want lifetime projects. Some of those lifetime projects could take our Thailand supply base through to 2045. Now that's good for everybody. It's good for my people to get security. So I'm working a lot on trying to extend that model. I'm also working on new market sectors, and the new market sectors we're interested in, we need more aluminium structures, because I need to optimize capacities. So more of what we do, but new contracts. And I've got a team, UK guy, a French guy, that are helping me secure those. And then on top of some of that, we're actually looking at, we've got some great minds in the business now. Talent that has been with us probably 8, 9, 10 years. And these guys are coming up with areas where I talked about the engine, where we compress the air and then it ignites. how about Thailand steps into a sector as a supplier in where no one else? It's all done in the engine companies.
Right.
Where we go into the turbines, the thrust sector. That is temperatures that are off the planet, and it's exciting. All this for Thailand, we manufacture. I think the chance for Thailand is actually where we're in discussions to support other companies to be MRO, which is maintenance, repair and operations. We don't do that. We don't do maintenance repair. We supply original equipment.
Right.
But a service sector, which is what Thailand can be good at, I think there's great chances for Thailand.
Right. Interesting. I think it also can be a very good business opportunities for our members as well, just in case if somehow they could supply or provide their services to your company.
Well, and in many ways it's 100% correct. I mean, I am very picky, and as a leader, I don't spend money easily. I do on my guys, but not on other companies, because you have to pick your partners. But I think the conversations that are going on of business opportunities for British companies trying to benefit from the model Southeast Asia has. I do see Thailand as the entry. I think I've worked around the world. I think the Board of Investment of Thailand. You've got the power of the chamber. The knowledge in the British chamber is exponential. I think as a first port of call of any company coming in, the British chamber is excellent for British companies. And even non-British companies, because they're going to get so much out of that base.
That's correct.
And then the second aspect is a introduction, a courtship through the chamber into the BOI, because I think Thailand has got one of the best BOIs in Asia. It doesn't give you cash, but the benefits it give you. But to me, in all the businesses I've grown here, and there's multiple, not just in aerospace, they've been very supportive. And in terms of the service function, that's what Thailand does that's special. And what we're trying to do is bring the intellect, the problem solving, the willingness to make an error to learn, which is very difficult for Thais. We add all this together with the support of the BCCT. You add it together with parts of Thailand economy like the BOI. I think Thailand has a very good case. I think Thailand should do I feel Thailand should aspire to be a bigger version of Singapore without the costs.
Right. A very, very interesting vision, Simon. That's interesting. So I'm just wondering, in terms of back to the chamber a little bit, how do you think that the chamber can continue to support companies like yours operating in very high spec and export driven industries?
Okay, one of the things I'm good at bringing in is it's about measures. How do you measure that support? And if you've got a clientele like the chamber has, which is sort of 500 companies, it's different for everyone. So I think there's a multiple channels here. It comes back to the use of AI to our advantage to capture the variety. People only ever talk to you and communicate to you when they have a problem, unless we go after them and get feedback. So I think for me, it's back to the fact that I'm an engineer, right? And all my decisions are calculated 3, 4, 5, 6 stages ahead. I can bring that to the chamber, because when you look further ahead, it actually tells you what you need to do today. And one of those things is actually what I'm good at. It's about asking questions of our customers, because our customers of ours, that will allow us to grow and develop. And that means small businesses do need help. I think the chamber's perfect to help them. I think it can give that knowledge base, and that's just through older people like me that have got the experience to share.
Long life experience would be more the correct word to say.
So I do think there is an exciting time for the chamber, but what the chamber's got to be ready to do is understand the change mechanisms. It can't stay as it's always stayed. It's got to stay alive, and alive means, what do our core customer data routes tell us? And yes, you want the negatives, but we also must gather the positives. I hate questionnaires, because to me questionnaires, it's always directed, construed. You know, the average of data you get from analytics from AI is the averages of the averages of the averages. That's the big issue. Well, what we've got to do as a chamber is personalize it. We've got to be able to understand that group want these services. So it's actually partly diversification, but it's also understanding our core is, at the end of the day, helping people. And that's very much what the chamber is. Help British business, help Thai business is going to bring. And I think we can use new tools new exciting data sites, but we've got to work at it together.
Right.
And I think, I was excited with our first board meeting. There was a lot of ticks. There's a lot more questions I've got now because I get excited.
Right.
And my biggest problem is I have to be careful here because I'm time deficient, but we can together, I think, give back.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you got excited, it means we're doing the right. we're doing right, I will say. Right. Last question for you. Any advice for the fellow members, especially those in the manufacturing sector or newer to Thailand, on how they can engage more actively with BCCT?
Okay, I think we've talked about the dynamics for coming in, and it's about making that first connection. But what I will say, particularly to British businesses coming over here, we get too close to our own businesses. You get too familiar with your challenges, your offering. My advice is don't let the execs do it. Don't let the operators do it. Go to schools. Go to middle schools, go to high schools, and explain to the kids what you do. Get them excited. Your priority is to get them excited. For all engineers, it's to get them excited because we've got less kids and we want to encourage them. But what I've always done is I've made my teams capture the answers, because the answers and the excitement elements that come from the kids, they ask pure questions. Those pure questions and the excitement you can collate are actually where your value is.
Right.
So as a company, if you listen to the kids, and whether it's your own kids, whether it's school kids, the feedback you can get there, it's a new generation, They are changing, they're evolving. Using academia and enthusiastic kids to feedback shows you what you're really offering.
Right.
Take what you're really offering, collate it all, and then come to the chamber.
Right.
Come to get help if Thailand's where you want to come. I don't see any reason in manufacturing why it wouldn't be, because I think it's a great solution. I've worked Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, obviously Australian, because Australia's very core to me, which is why I'm a bit direct. But to me, the Thailand model at the moment, Vietnam's really good, but you try getting money, and challenges are financial in Vietnam, and it's a different culture altogether. Lots of young workers.
Quite complicated.
Correct. Thailand's got an ageing population, but Thailand's also very IT savvy, tremendously IT savvy.
Right.
And that was taught to me by the youngsters we're bringing in. We have just under 600 people, but each year, last year we had over 75 interns. 6 of them were international. They'd come from Imperial College London, they'd come from Germany. But the real essence to me are the kids from upcountry.
Right.
From Khon Kaen, from Chiang Rai, Chiang Mai. And these kids don't believe they can. We go and show, and then they get internships with us. That's the gem.
Right.
That's the gem, because it's the way they think and the questions they ask that should be driving your business. For us as leaders to listen, absorb, and pull it together and try our best. We're never perfect. Leadership is never about perfection. It's about direction. We try to use that as one of our main drivers. And then we've also got shareholders, we've got stakeholders, we've got head offices in London. My bosses actually reside in the US.
Right,
so we are truly global. And what our job is to shut up and to gather it all and then try and put it in a forum where we know where we need help. And I think once you know where you can get help and what your product is, what your value is, the chamber is very good at the assistance.
Right.
So for me, do your homework, work out what you want, work out what you are, then just chat to us. Chat to the chamber, and the chamber is excited because that's what the chamber's there for.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you so much, Simon. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Lots of new ideas, learning some new things about your business as well, and warm welcome to the Board of Directors.
Thank you very much for having me, and I hope we bring value.
Thank you.
Thank you.